The year is 1970. New York City is a concrete jungle on the brink of collapse, and criminal activity is at its absolute peak. A city in chaos, and a police force looking the other way. In the early 70s, the underworld changed forever because of one man. He bypassed the cartels, outsmarted the mob, and used the US Army as his personal delivery service. You know the movie, but you don't know the full truth. Today, we step inside the ruthless mind of the real American gangster. Frank Lucas, the man, the myth, the legend. In the 70s, while the New York police were focused on the mafia, Lucas devised a scheme that simultaneously bypassed all middlemen and used the largest logistical network in the world, the US military. He was not an Italian mob boss, but he controlled all of Harlem. Today, we will uncover who the real Frank Lucas was, what the movie American Gangster concealed, and how Lucas turned dead soldiers into his money-making machine. Frank Lucas was born in North Carolina in 1930. After witnessing a murder by the Ku Klux Klan, he vowed never to be a victim again. In the 50 seconds, he arrived in New York and quickly gravitated towards Harlem. He soon became the protege of Ellsworth Bumpy Johnson, the last of Harlem's classic gangsters. After Johnson's death, Lucas realized that to succeed, he couldn't play by the mafia's rules. He had to eliminate the middleman. That's when the idea for blue magic was born, a pure blue-colored heroin that he imported directly from the source, the Golden Triangle in Southeast Asia. This is the most shocking and controversial element of his story. To transport massive quantities of heroin, Frank Lucas utilized military flights returning from Vietnam. Through a relative who was a sergeant in the Air Force, Lucas began loading drugs into specially crafted false bottoms inside the coffins of American soldiers killed in action. While people expected to see a dead hero, they were carrying heroin that was 98% pure. In one of the biggest controversies on Reddit, many users cite interviews with Ike Atkinson, the real logistician behind the scheme, who claims that Lucas never used coffins. Instead, they used hollow furniture, cabinets and tables made in Thailand. While the film shows us coffins, people on the street and Lucas's partners claim that the truth was much more pragmatic. Furniture with a double bottom. This heroin, known as blue magic, was sold at a much lower price than the mafia's, granting him a monopoly. On Reddit, users who grew up in the Bronx and Harlem in the 1970s confirm one key detail: the markings on the packets. People report seeing empty packets with blue magic stamps in apartment building hallways and on sidewalks. The truth: in the criminal world at the time, this was an innovation branding the product. One user says, "It wasn't just a movie trick. Those stamps were everywhere, and they ensured you were getting Frank's stuff and not someone else's knockoff." Lucas claimed he was making $1 million a day, but his indiscretion would be his downfall. Lucas couldn't resist luxury. At the Ali vs. Foreman boxing match in 1974, he showed up wearing his infamous Chinchilla coat, costing $100,000. Reddit often discusses his photo from the Muhammad Ali fight. Comment from eyewitnesses. Users say that in Harlem, Lucas was known for trying to be invisible, low profile, but his wife convinced him to put on the coat. According to Reddit stories, the police had no idea who he was until that night. They saw some guy in a $100,000 coat sitting in better seats than the Italian mobsters. This literally illuminated him to the authorities. This caught the attention of detectives like Richie Roberts. Richie Roberts, a detective who later became an attorney, was the man who ended Lucas's empire. In 1975, Lucas was arrested and sentenced to 70 years in prison. But here comes the big difference with the movie. In real life, Lucas cooperated with the authorities. His testimony led to the arrest of over 150 corrupt law enforcement officials in New York. Due to his cooperation, Lucas's sentence was reduced, and he was released after only 5 years. Later, he and Roberts even became friends, with Roberts becoming the godfather to Lucas's son. Reddit users point out that Bumpy Johnson's widow, Mamie Johnson, later wrote a book claiming that Frank was just an errand boy and a driver, not the heir to the empire. And many people living in Harlem to this day claim that Frank used Bumpy's name to give himself legitimacy with suppliers in Asia. Another interesting read is that, in almost every thread about Frank Lucas on Reddit, the name Frank Matthews appears. People say that while Lucas was a media star, the real king of New York was Matthews, who disappeared with $15 million to $20 million in 1973 and was never found. The story of Frank Lucas is more than a criminal triumph. It is a story of American entrepreneurship, twisted by poverty, and of the corruption that can reach the highest levels of power. Lucas died in 2019 as a free man, but his story remains a dark warning about how even the boldest schemes can be built upon tragedy. If you enjoyed learning the truth behind the movie, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can get notification when we upload our next video. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.